Welcome to The Road Reflected with Nicole Wakeland. Automotive from the lighter side. That means cars, but also cookies, coffee, and pie. Up first, what's Nicole behind the wheel of this week?
Okay, guys, this week I am driving the Subaru Impreza.
Ooh.
Yes.
No T's.
No T's, not Impreza, just Impreza.
Got it.
Which is all new for 2024. So that's pretty cool. This is a 5-door hatchback.
I do have a question about that.
Okay.
So hatchback, and we talked about crossovers on the show. We talked about SUVs and minivans. But why is this not just a crossover? What makes it a hatchback?
Hatchbacks, think like a sedan.
Okay.
But instead of a trunk, it has a hatchback.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to think about it, just looking at it. So it starts at $22,995 overall for the Impreza, but I have the RS and that starts a little bit higher.
Monroney Moment.
Okay, so if you look at what is on the Monroney, the key points, it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. It has a continuously variable automatic transmission, also known as a CVT, standard all-wheel drive, and the Impreza RS starts at $27,885.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit more. Base for the whole Impreza lineup, $22,995. This is $27,885. So it's a chunk higher.
Is that a pretty good ratio of horses to engine? I mean, to weight?
Horses to engine.
Horses to weight.
Horses to weight. Yeah, it's a fairly responsive engine, you know, and this gets more. So if you look at the rest of the Impreza lineup, it has the same engine, but it has 152 horsepower, which is 30 less. And 145 pound-feet of torque, which is 33 less. So it is a little jump. It's not one of those like, hey, we gave it 3 extra horsepower, which sometimes OEMs do that. And you kind of think like, guys, it's really not that much better. Like, give everybody that extra 3. But this one, there really is a difference between these. So it is a little bit more responsive. That makes it more fun to drive. So seating for 5, really small. There's seating for 4.
4 with some small person in the middle of the back.
With a small person, or only 3 in the back if it's people that are only going to be there for a short time and really have to like each other because your shoulders are squished against each other. Yeah. So it's really seating for 4 people. One of the things they did, they made the chassis stiffer, which means that it handles a little bit better. It's not as sloppy. Like when you want a vehicle to feel really nice and good in the corners and not feel like, whoa, it's going to get away from you. This one is, because of that, it handles a little bit better. It makes that extra horsepower a little bit more fun. So when you take winding roads, because we've got winding roads around here.
We do have winding roads, yeah.
Yes, it's kind of a country area. So it makes it a lot more fun to drive. That extra horsepower, the better handling, it's just a nice little hatchback.
And the hatch gives you room in the back to stuff in there.
Yes, because the benefit to a hatchback is that a sedan is with a trunk, you can only get stuff that's so big, like there's just metal above it. When you have a hatchback, you've got seats that you can fold down. You got that, you can see out the hatchback glass. You can lift that whole thing and you can shove in giant stuff. So it takes big bulky stuff once you fold the seats down that there's no way you can put in a sedan. Even if the trunk had more space to it, it just doesn't have the size and the dimensions that a crossover or something with a hatchback has to fit big stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So in addition to the more power that you have in the RS, you also get some kind of nifty stuff. So when you open the doors inside, there's all these red accents, like on the sides of the seats, like on the bolsters.
It did look pretty snazzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got these snazzy red accents, and the fabric itself sort of has a pattern. I think kind of looks like triangles.
It's got kind of a geometry thing going on.
It's a geometric pattern.
A geometric pattern,
Probably somewhere in the press kit it says a geometric pattern.
A geometric pattern, mostly triangles.
Mostly triangles, but it's geometric.
It is the strongest shape.
Thank you, engineering man.
You're welcome.
So you have the strongest shape on your seats.
Yes, you do.
You also get aluminum sport pedals, which just kind of look neat. There's like that shiny metal, so that always looks cool. There's also logos. You get a logo on the headrest that says RS. You get a logo on the floor mats that says RS.
Yeah.
And you get on the outside, you also get badging. There's, again, that little RS badge.
You feel like you got that tricked out trim level, like a little bit extra plussing.
Yeah. So it's not just a matter of like, it's always nice when you get a trim that's supposed to be sporty and you have not just one thing. Sometimes a sporty trim just looks sporty. It doesn't actually do anything. They add cool stuff. Like they might put a spoiler on the back that kind of is more looks than anything. They give you fancy red accents on the exterior, on the interior. They change little things, but it really is all just about looks. Like just because a car has a sport in it or it's a fancier trim, it doesn't always have anything that makes it that way when you're driving it. The thing that makes this that way is that extra horsepower in the engine. So I appreciate that they made the RS actually RS.
So it looks slick and it drives slick.
It looks slick and it drives slick. So in addition to these nifty things, it also has some stuff that is available on other trim levels within the range. So there's only 3 trims, but there's an 11.6 inch infotainment screen, which is not standard, and it runs vertically on the dashboard. Yep. I can't decide whether like the ones that run horizontally or the vertical one better. Which way do you think?
Well, so here's the thing. I think the vertical ones do better with CarPlay and stuff.
Yeah?
Because you can show the entire Apple CarPlay or Google Android Auto, thank you. Because those are generally designed to be squarish.
Yeah.
So if you go longer, you can have the whole square at the top, and then you can have other cool things you can touch on the bottom. Yeah. But if you have it wide, it's not really enough to do anything side by side, and it's sort of this weird thing, and they try to stretch it out, and it doesn't always work.
They have changed, and the tech behind it has changed. There used to be limitations to how much Apple CarPlay they could show.
It seems like CarPlay is better at adapting to the shape.
Yeah, it used to be like you could only have so much of that screen devoted to, and it wasn't the automakers, it was Apple. Now when you look at a lot of these screens, you're looking like, oh gosh, the whole screen shows your Apple CarPlay, and then it looks kind of cool.
And I like my CarPlay. So for me, the infotainment layout really has to showcase the CarPlay. But I'd also like, I think I've said this before, I don't really like a lot of physical buttons in my car anymore. I feel like this cool touchscreen thing. It reminds me of being on Star Trek The Next Generation, how the control panels could reconfigure.
But what about, volume? You want a touch thing for volume? You want a touch thing for your
No,
air
I want those in the
vents?
steering wheel.
You want them on the steering wheel?
Yeah, I want volume on the steering wheel.
What if you're the passenger? You don't want a little
I want to control the volume. Passenger,
So
suck it. I want to control the volume. But here's the thing.
I'll have you know when I'm the passenger, I'm setting the volume.
But here's the thing: if you don't have a really elongated screen, what happens is you can have all the touch stuff, but then it's on a separate screen. What's cool about some of these newer cars is you can have your touch buttons on the lower half of the screen, and you can still have your CarPlay up. So you can have auto-specific functions and then generic CarPlay stuff. I like that. I dig that.
And they're trying to reach a happy medium. Like really, it's something that the automakers haven't entirely figured out yet. They're trying to decide, do we need all touch screen? Do we need a little touch screen? What kind of buttons do we need? Where do the buttons need to be? Do we need a button and touch screen so everybody's happy?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think like there's certain things that should always be accessible. So like climate controls, the volume. I don't like vents not being physically controlled, I must say.
That we'll talk about another time. But yeah, when you have
there will be a future episode teaser where we talk about a vehicle where the vents are actually touchscreen controls layers deep. Not fans of that.
Which sounds super neat when you're like, this is so cool. And then the sun's suddenly beaming on you and it's hot.
Over-engineered. Nobody needs that. And I think you mentioned it when we were driving that vehicle, like you want to be able to reach over and just grab the vent. And it's like, where the heck? And as the driver, you're completely distracted now. So
it's probably the worst. So there's that balance between putting enough into the infotainment touchscreen that you can use it well and it makes your life easier without making it horrifically distracting.
Does go back to your point, like anything that's needed often should kind of be a physical control.
Have some kind of because you don't have to look. Like if it's a touch screen, you don't know where you're touching to do a thing. If it's a button, even if it's like third button over, your hands can just go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so there's a compromise between aesthetics, like Spartan aesthetics, and practical within reach.
Yes,
stuff.
Practical within reach stuff. So that's the balance that they're trying to find as far as infotainment. 11.6 inches vertical. That's what you get
pretty
in
cool.
This one. Yeah. Yes. You also have a suite of driver assistance features. It's called EyeSight. That's what they call it. Everybody has their name. It has a different driver, like automatic emergency braking and things to keep you safe. Like
cool. So it's kind of like cameras that watch the road and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's all the stuff to make sure that you are, to give you a little assist so that to keep you safe. And it is standard not just on this trim, it's standard on the entire Impreza lineup. So that's nice as they make more and more. I love that more and more advanced safety features are becoming standard. You don't have to pay extra for everything. Some things, yes, but not everything.
That name is interesting because EyeSight safety to me implies the car is watching my eyes and making sure my eyes are on the road. So if I start to nod off late at night,
some of them do.
It like warns me. It's like whoop whoop. You're about to they have the lane keep assist.
They do warn you though.
But watching your eyes would be kind
of lot of them watch your face and then you determine. Yeah. So if you hold the steering wheel, if you do that, like which you're not supposed to, should be
10 and 2?
No, it's not 10 and 2 anymore. It's 9 and 3. I had to
9 and 3. How old am I?
10 and 2 before airbags. 9 and 3 because now your hands are a better spot for the airbag to go poof and not involve your hands.
Yeah.
But if you do,
I guess 10 and 2, you punch yourself in the face.
Right, exactly. Kablam, right.
Ow, okay,
That's
I'm not going to do that anymore.
it. 9 and 3. You're laughing. That's the reason why.
I can see that now. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So, but if you ride with your hand in the middle, sometimes you just lay back, you relax.
Easy rider kind of thing.
Yeah. You block some of the sensors that would actually be able to see your face. So some of the systems will say like, this is an active, that is an active, or pay attention to that because it can't see your face. So it doesn't know you could be looking at anything.
Yeah.
So driving that way not only would be even worse because that would your hand would like kablop right in the middle of your forehead.
I could see it.
That would not be good. Okay, everyone, if you like what you're hearing, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe either on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher of choice.
Nice.
Yeah, I said it right.
You got the term right this time.
Podcatcher. Yeah. Somehow I stumble over that word. Yeah. So the next vehicle that we're going to talk about is very different than the Subaru Impreza. We are going to talk about the 2023 GMC Canyon.
Ooh.
This is all new also.
Yeah.
And this is a mid-size truck. So not a full-size truck like the GMC Sierra would be the full-size truck. This is like one step down. This is a mid-size.
I just need the audience to know that while I am confused between crossovers, hatchbacks, and sedans and minivans, I do know what a truck is.
Good job.
Just making sure.
Good job,
I'm on board with the truck terminology.
You got it. So this is a mid-size truck. It comes in a range of trims. The base trim, which is called the Elevation, is $38,395. The top trim in the lineup is called the AT4X. Ooh. It is $56,995.
Okay.
So you have a pretty good spread. And you'll notice this like $38,395 is not super cheap, right? It's not like there's other cheaper mid-sized trucks that you can get. But the thing with GMC is GMC is supposed to be a bit more of an upscale brand. I don't think you'd call it a luxury brand, but it is an upscale brand. So even in that Elevation trim, it's still an attractive car. It still has comfortable seats. It still has nice materials. There's not like all that plastic.
I feel like all my contractor friends are doing well for themselves often are rocking GMCs.
Yes, because they're really nice trucks.
They're utilitarian, but they're also pretty sweet rides.
They still do work. Like it's not just like, oh, they're pretty and they do nothing. They still are trucks you can get work done and you just get work done and then be really comfy.
Exactly.
Which I don't think is a bad thing. So this one has, in terms of capability, if you are doing work, it can tow up to 7,700 pounds. Which is solid, and it can manage a payload of up to 1,640 pounds. There's very many different configurations. You have two-wheel drive, you have four-wheel drive. So depending on the exact version you get, or even the trim, because different trims have different specs, you have to look, which is an important part about buying a truck. Like, don't just listen to maximum is this and this. Right. Because maximum or that and that, but only when it's specifically configured a very certain way.
So you want a cushion.
Yes.
If you expect you're going to be towing X amount of pounds, you want to buy a truck that can do X plus some number.
Right. You kind of, you don't
10% more, 20% more.
I don't know. I feel like you just want to make sure that if you're doing light truck stuff and you want a mid-sized truck, you're fine with that. But if you're going to try and treat it like a full-size truck and you're going to start pushing it, you will damage your truck. Yeah. And you might not know right away. You might not see, there was a video or I guess a video pictures of somebody who was towing in a full-size truck and a camper on the back of it, and it was like over what the weight of this truck was. And the guy, finally, the truck was like, I have served you.
See the springs just going right.
Well, no, it literally like split between the bed and the cab. Ooh. Like if you imagine, you just
I have not seen that one.
And you kind of, so it just like broke in half.
Okay, that seems like a mistake.
And the guy was kind of like, I've towed, I've had this camper on here for 25,000 miles and havenent had a problem. I'm thinking, go little truck, go. You did what you weren't supposed to be able to do.
Made it 25,000.
Right?
That's pretty good, but not 50.
So you like, even if you think like, hey, it does it fine, you're hurting your truck.
You are hurting.
Don't do that. Like you even if you get away with it, know that you're hurting your truck and you're causing problems that are they're gonna get you eventually.
Yeah, watch your specs, people. That's what we're learning today.
Make sure that what you've got in your vehicle you can capably officially carry. There's engineers, really smart guys that figure all this stuff out. Listen to the engineers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They put all those numbers and specs there for a reason. So that's what you can do as far as your towing and your payload. Power for this, there's only one engine. There's not multiple engines, which you find on a lot of full-size truck and even some mid-size truck. This one just has one now. It's a 2.7-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, 310 horsepower.
Okay, with turbo, that's pretty cool.
430 pound-feet of torque.
All right.
So it is a responsive engine. This is a midsize truck. Those are strong numbers for that. That torque really helps give it some extra oomph. And like if you are towing, that does make towing a little bit easier when you're trying to get, especially when you're trying to start from a dead stop or you're going up a steep hill, that torque helps. It's very responsive. If you hit the gas, it's going to move. It does get a little bit noisy if you're really, really heavy on the gas.
Yeah.
Like if you're being super aggressive, like trying to...
Kind of want that in the truck though, don't you? A little bit? Like a rum.
I know, I kind of feel like
is it not a happy room or is it more of a like, help me, I'm dying room?
It's not quite a help me, I'm dying room.
It's not like rolling coal in a diesel or like just like, yeah.
Diesel. No, it's not that. So, I mean, it is, you do hear it. It does have a little sound, but it's not anything that you think, oh gosh, the truck is not going to make it. You're aware.
Okay.
That it is working very hard. It handles well, which in a truck, part of the thing is when it's empty, when the bed is empty, sometimes they're very floppy, like without the weight of something to sort of hold it down.
Right.
It can feel bouncy, but this was fine. We drove a few little, like some twisting roads. We were in Asheville, North Carolina, drove on some twisting roads. It was fine. We drove on a little bit of bumpy roads. Again, fine. So it's very well mannered. So,
were you always on pavement the whole time? Did you ever get off the road?
We definitely were not. So there were two trims that I want to talk about. One is an off-road trim. One is a fancy pants trim. The fancy pants trim is the Denali.
That's where all my contractor friends always seem to have they all seem very excited about the Denali level. The guy
who's in charge of the business.
Yeah, it's like, look at it's all so slick.
Right.
So the Denali's like their comfy one?
Denali is the fancy.
Yeah.
The fancy trim.
Yeah.
That's like the fancy. It's almost like they would consider what they call a sub brand. Like a while we talked about Buick has their Avenir.
Yes,
that's their fancy trim. Well, GMC has their Denali. So it's the fancier trim, and they have that even on this. And it gets some neat stuff. It looks a little bit different. There's 20-inch diamond cut wheels.
Ooh.
There's 5-inch chrome Denali assist steps. Like they're just Denalis. They're not on any other trims. They have something called a multi-stow tailgate.
What is would you store it more than once?
No. So what a multi-stow tailgate is, so when you flip the tailgate down, if you almost kind of divide the tailgate across on the inside, right lengthwise along the middle, and you open these two little latches, they hold it shut, and it just folds open.
Oh.
And there's like a little section in there.
Like a desk?
It's not a desk. It's a little storage compartment.
Oh.
So you could tuck whatever you want in there. But also, if you were actually tailgating, you could throw ice in there and put drinks in there.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of a neat feature. So I like the little multi-stow tailgate.
That's pretty snazzy.
That was kind of neat, yeah. There's also a 6.3-inch head-up display, power seats, and leather. And this is something that's standard on the whole lineup. There's an 11.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. And this one is horizontal.
Okay.
And that's on every trim. It's part of this being a little bit more of a premium brand. It's not that you don't have like a 9.3-inch screen or something on the lower trims.
Got it.
Nope. You get this big, vibrant 11.3-inch touch screen on the full trim lineup.
Nice.
Which I really like. And I actually like that they did some neat stuff with it too. As you go through the various drive modes, it actually changes the image that's on the screen. You get a different little image of the truck. No, it doesn't change how it works, but I just feel like it's neat. You have this beautiful screen. You have incredible graphics. Make use of it. Like it's sort of like, it's just fun. It's little eye candy as you spin through the drive modes.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I like it.
Yeah.
So that's the Denali, which is the fancy trim.
Okay. Then, you mentioned you were off-road.
Yes.
So you're not in the Denali.
We did not do it. I mean, you can drive off-road in the Denali, but we went off-road in the new AT4X.
Ooh, 4X.
Yeah. So there's an AT4 still around, still off-road capable, but the AT4X.
What does the X bring to the party?
More capability.
For extra capability.
Extra capability.
All right.
Extra. So I
assume these are all 4-wheel drive. So the 4X isn't really.
The AT4X is 4-wheel drive.
Oh, but the Denali is not 4-wheel.
I'm trying to remember. You can get it without 4-wheel drive in certain trims, but it depends.
But the 4X wouldn't be seen without 4-wheel drive.
The 4X would not be seen without 4-wheel drive.
That makes sense.
So that's the AT4X, and what you get on this, it has a 3-inch factory lift. So from the factory, 3 inches.
Already more clearance. Yeah.
Already more clearance, which gives it a 36.9-degree approach angle, which is how you keep from going steeply into something and thunk, like smashing your front bumper.
Got it. So you don't bottom out.
So you don't like as you're going down
big
a
giant
steep
pothole or rut or
hopefully not a pothole
off-road.
Big enough to.
There are some potholes that are pretty big. Been in Boston lately? Come on.
So it keeps that from happening.
Yeah.
So it makes your approach angle
right.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. It also gets skid plates. It gets an electronic front.
So basically, it's turned into a Jeep.
I don't know that the Jeep people or GMC people would agree with you, but so it's got electronic front and rear locking differentials. Ooh. It has multiple drive modes.
Yeah.
The ones that matter for the AT4X, there's an off-road mode, which is sort of like anytime you're off the pavement, whether it's a lot of dirt or a little dirt or going up hills or just kind of driving around off-road mode. Then there's terrain mode, which is, it does a little bit more if you're doing more technical driving. Maybe you don't have to manage quite as much. It does a good job of managing your throttle for you. It makes sure you're kind of going, you can speed up, but it kind of does the, like, as you're going downhill, it helps keep you, it's like a one pedal driving almost. Like you can kind of, it makes it easier when there's rocks.
It's kind of shifting to low mode for you.
It's,
so
you have to shift into low to do it. But it's for more technical driving off-road. And then your final drive mode is Baja, which is,
that sounds fun.
Exactly what you think. So Baja mode is for going fast. Zoom, zoom.
In soft terrain? Just like boom.
Well, I feel like any terrain that you could. I mean, if you go try to do Baja mode over rocks, you're going to
it'd be rough.
Destroy yourself and your truck.
Yes, I could
but
recommend.
Any place where you could conceivably drive at speed.
Nice.
But you're in the dirt and you're not on pavement, Baja mode.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
Which is
Did
fun.
you try Baja mode?
We did. When we were doing the off-roading, we got to try a little bit of Baja mode for like a short stretch, and we did get to open it up. Very fun. It was very fun to do that. But it was more fun driving through the mud. Like they had us one where we really did come really steeply down, and they had the driver that was in charge of it do it first. He goes really steeply down. I'm the first one, which is super disconcerting in the giant lineup of trucks because everybody else is standing out there with cameras. And I'm thinking, don't mess it up, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. Because if you mess it up, every single one of those cameras has you messing it up. I didn't mess it up.
Of course you did.
I got through it. And I said to myself, so basically it just looks like you were really kind of slow until that front kind of hits. And then it was like, you just sent it. He's like, pretty much. He's like, hit the gas and don't stop until you're through the mud.
That's Baja mode.
That wasn't Baja mode.
Oh.
That wasn't fast. It was mud.
Oh, but you punched it.
Yeah, but you're not punching it. I'm punching it and going very slowly because
I feel like Baja mode in the mud, you get the rooster tails, which would be great.
You probably could, not this mud. This mud, it would not have been good to do that. Hey, wait, did we just drive by a bakery? No, we never drive by a bakery.
Never pass the bakery.
Never pass a bakery. So while I was in Asheville, North Carolina has a really cute downtown. It's super fun. It's the kind of place where you'd want to like head for a weekend getaway with your husband or with the girls or whatever.
Add it to the list.
Yeah, it already added. It is on the list.
Okay,
You're not aware of it.
I'm aware now. I'm very excited
But it is on the list. So there's all sorts of shops and things that you can wander around down there. It's really, really cute. And it's a lot of sort of local artisans. So it's a nice place to wander about. They also have some great food options. So I had a lunch at one place and I had some little snack at another. But then the one morning I went to a place called Old Europe Pastries.
I like the sound of this already.
I know, right? So it has an old Europe kind of feel, just the decor and it's kind of dark stuff and there's like plants. And so it's very cute, very quaint. And they have quite a few tables that you can set at, little tiny tables. I always feel like tables that are too tiny are a Europe thing. Like I need more room than what you're providing. Yes, that gives you the
cafe vibe.
Right. So they did this. I'm like, oh, they have the two tiny tables from Europe. So they have the two tiny tables, a really cute little place. And they have tons of different kinds of pastries. And their specialty is Hungarian desserts. Ooh. So there's some kind of funky desserts in there. But what I was there for two things, coffee and a cookie. Because
it's always a good choice.
It's always
now,
a good
did you do anything fancy with the coffee?
I did. I just did a straight up latte.
Okay.
But I did do it with oat milk.
Ooh, look at you mixing it up.
I was mixing it up a little bit. Yeah. So I did.
But what about this cookie situation?
So they have a whole bunch of different kinds of cookies, but it's not just, some cookie places, like I love Crumble, but they're all about doing crazy cookies.
And they're giant.
And
like you feel like you're eating a meal.
Right. It's like you get one cookie and it's really cookies for
You feel like you have to eat it. Like you've ordered this thing, you've paid $5 for this cookie, you might as well eat the whole thing.
You don't have to eat it all at once. You could just put it in a little Ziploc bag.
It does try to lure you.
Leave it on the counter. I do that with us. I put it in a Ziploc
required is substantial.
And all of a sudden I'm like, there's a crumb in the baggie, and the baggie's still on the counter. Like I'm not going to notice the cookie's missing.
Yes.
Okay. So, but these were sort of more normal cookies. Yep. So I just went with classic. I got myself a chocolate chip cookie.
I think we've had this conversation. It's kind of like when you go to a new ice cream place.
Yes.
You try the vanilla or the chocolate.
Correct.
So you can kind of see what their game is, because that's how you know.
Because if you try a weird flavor, then you don't know, is it that they can't do this thing, or is it just that they had the weird flavor? I don't like the weird flavor.
Bakery, it's either the chocolate chip cookie or the croissant.
It could also be a sugar cookie. I feel like sugar cookies are a solid
But any of the very
option.
common things, the croissant really tells you right away. Right away.
But croissants are that actually tells you if they can really bake.
They
'cause
really
those
are baked,
super hard to bake.
because they're hard to do right.
They're
That's
very
right.
hard to do right. So if you get a croissant and immediately you break it apart and you have a flaky mess that
right.
looks like you were just flinging things everywhere,
Yeah,
perfect
there's another whole podcast about croissants we could do.
Yeah, we could do one.
That's
The
serious.
croissant cast.
So what cookie did you get? And how many
I got a
varieties
chocolate
did they
chip.
have? Oh,
I
you
just
said
got a
that's right.
chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip.
They had a handful of cookies. There were a couple of different varieties. I felt like chocolate chip was going to be the best one.
Mm-hmm.
They also had all sorts of cakes. I don't even know what the cakes were. Like they had the chocolate drippy ganache on it, and some of them had fruit on it. And yeah, and there was one lady who was in there. This is what I feel like is a good sign. She walks in, clearly they know her. Like they're like, hey, whatever her name was, we're gonna make her Sue. Hey Sue, oh okay, I got your stuff for you. And they bring out 2 cake boxes. And she's got her cakes and they chat for a bit and they make Sue her usual coffee. So they're chatting. But they knew a lot of the people coming in. There was a lot of like, hey, Mike, hey, Tom, hey. They knew people. I feel like when you know people in a very busy coffee shop like that, then you're doing it right. Because there's other places these people could go. They're clearly local. They clearly live there. And if they're going there often enough that not only do the people there know you, but they know what you're ordering, then...
Yeah, that's right. Now, here's the question. You watch those people they know and you see what they order.
That's a good way too.
Because did anybody else order chocolate chip cookies?
No, there were a lot of coffee people. Aside from the woman coming in that got the 2 boxes of cakes, this was a coffee heavy moment. I think there were a lot of people on their way to their
Early
day.
morning cookies, like an afternoon thing.
Right, like they were going to work or they were going to whatever. So it was a lot of folks running in and getting coffee for their day. But it had lovely pastries, and I sat there and I did work, and it was totally relaxing.
Thanks for listening to The Road Reflected. To follow more of Nicole Wakeland's adventures, head on over to NicoleWakeland.com. There you'll find links to her social media from TikTok to Twitter, as well as her work across a wide range of media outlets. Until next time, keep it shiny side up.